Hello everyone, welcome to the setup and installation lecture. So in this lecture, we're going to install Python and Anaconda. If you don't know what Anaconda is, I'm going to be explaining it in a bit. Also, we're going to understand why we need Anaconda. And lastly, we're going to open and explore Jupyter Notebook. So there are many ways to run Python, and what we are going to be using in this lecture is we're going to be using Anaconda. Later on, we would explain the difference between running a PyScript and running Python code in a notebook. Either way, we would still need to install Python. So next, we're going to install Anaconda distribution for Python. And what is Anaconda? Anaconda is just a software that helps us create an environment for many different versions of Python and packages versions. So just look at Anaconda distribution as an hub that contains different packages of Python that can help us run our code. So Anaconda installs Python and different environment and Navigator Launch tool. So Navigator Launch tool include different tools that we can also use to write our Python code. So the next one, we're going to explore Online Editor. And what is Online Editor? Just take a look at it as an online tool that can help us to run our Python code, but you must always be connected to the internet for this to work. So just a quick note here, there are many online editors for Python that can run in the browser as long as you have an internet connection. While this is not officially part of this course, we would give you a brief tour of this online editors option at the end of this installation. So the reason why we're not going to be using an online editor is because number one, is not everything that is open source. And when I mean open source is just a software or a tool that is free for everyone to use and access. So not every online editors are open source, and some of these online editors tends to change as time goes on. So to install Python, we would use an open source distribution called Anaconda. So as I said earlier, open source are free to use. So that means once we can download Anaconda, we would be able to use it freely. So you don't need to worry about paying or subscribing for Anaconda. Anaconda distribution includes Python as well as many other useful libraries, including Jupyter Notebook environment, which is what we're going to be using for this course. So what is Jupyter Notebook environment? Just take a look at it as a place where we can write and execute our Python codes. So Anaconda can also be easily installed on any major operating system, Windows, Mac operating system, or Linux, so you should be rest assured. So to download Anaconda, you have to go to www.anaconda.com/downloads. Then you should be able to download Anaconda. I'm going to be jumping right to my browser to guide you through on how to install Anaconda. Okay guys, I'm in my browser now, and as I said earlier, you can go ahead to www.anaconda.com/download, or go ahead to your browser and search for Anaconda download. So once you click on it, it should take you to anaconda.com/download also. Just to mention, if you have idea about Python before and you use either PyCharm, VS Code, or you use any other code editor, feel free to go ahead and use whatever works for you. But in this course, we're going to be using Anaconda. So if you just want to code along with me and do exactly what I'm doing, make sure you follow the step I'm taking to download Anaconda. So I'm just going to go ahead and input my email here and click agree, then submit. So once you've done that, it will bring you to a page where you can see downloads for Windows, Mac, or Linux. For me, I'm going to be downloading for Windows. Just to mention, we have Anaconda, we also have Miniconda. If you want to know the difference between Miniconda and Anaconda, I'm going to link a video up here. You can go ahead and watch that to make you understand the difference and similarities between Anaconda and Miniconda. So my Anaconda is downloading already, so you guys can chill and come back to the video after you're done downloading Anaconda. So guys, after you're done downloading, just open the Anaconda. Then you should see a setup like this. Then all you have to do is just to click next. Agree to this. I agree. Then just for me, if you want to install for all the users, make sure you go ahead and click all the users, but I'm just going to be installing for me, which is recommended. And also saving in the right spot, Anaconda theory. Next. Then I want you to enable this icon, add Anaconda to my path. So what this does is it basically allows you run some certain commands from your command line, which is going to be very useful for us when we get started, and you're going to see that very soon also. So click on install. So take note that Anaconda used to take time to install. When it gets to this certain part of the installation process, that's why some people prefer using Miniconda instead of Anaconda. And if you don't know what Miniconda or Anaconda is, you can basically check this video right here. It explains in details the difference and the similarity between Anaconda and Miniconda. So I'm just going to pause the video here and come back to the video after I'm done installing my Anaconda. So guys, as you can see, we've installed Anaconda successfully. So just click on next and next. I'm just going to check this to just launch Anaconda. So guys, once you open Anaconda, you should see something like this. So let me quickly walk you guys through the Anaconda interface. So by the side menu here, you have home, which shows all the IDEs that are available in Anaconda. Don't forget that I said Anaconda has different navigator launch too. So if you are familiar with some IDE, you should see some here like VS Code, Spider, Orange, Oracle. So this is one of the advantages of Anaconda. It contains different launch tools. By this slide here, we have the environment. We're going to be covering virtual environment, which is an optional class. So make sure you watch that video if you actually want to understand what environment is. So this learning is basically for documentation. If you want to learn about AWS, Pandas, NumPy, everything is all here. And community is just a place where you can discuss any problem or any issue you're having. You can get to explore and talk or engage with different people, right? So aside that, we also have connect, and this connect allows you to connect to Anaconda Cloud if you want to use the cloud base, but we're not going to be covering that. And one thing I just want you to know is we're going to be making use of Jupyter Notebook, right? So once you click on launch, this should take you to Jupyter Notebook. It's going to take a while to load. Just chillax and wait for it to load. A quick note here is there are different ways to launch Jupyter Notebook, and this is one of the way. I'm also going to be showing you another way you can also launch Jupyter Notebook from your command line. So guys, once you click on launch Jupyter Notebook, you should see something like this. It's to take you to your web browser where it shows the navigations of all your files and folders on your system. So as you can see, we have Anaconda 3 where Anaconda was installed. We have contact desktop. Basically, you should see whatever you have on your system here. Alright guys, remember I told you there are other ways to launch Jupyter Notebook, and the way I do mine is by using the command line. So to do this, all you have to do is press Windows R, then type CMD to open your command line. Then after, you should see a command line pop-up box. So when your command line is opened, I want you to type Jupyter Notebook and click enter. So this procedure is also the same as what we did in Anaconda, which is also going to launch our Jupyter Notebook. So guys, as you can see now, it has opened the Jupyter Notebook in my browser, and basically we're going to have the same thing we also have when we opened Jupyter Notebook with Anaconda. So you guys should feel free to pick whatever one works for you. For me, I prefer using the command line because it's faster and better that way. So if you prefer opening the Anaconda app before launching Jupyter Notebook, please make sure you do that. And if you also prefer the command line, please feel free to use that method. But what I want you guys to do for me is to go to your documents or whatever place you want to save your file in. For me, I'm going to be going to documents, and I'm going to be creating a new file of a notebook, right? So it should take me to a new tab where it shows the UI of Jupyter Notebook. So it's going to bring out this to select kernel, and you can pick the kernel you are using, but for now we're still using Python 3 kernel, and that's what I'm going to select here. Then click on select, right? So to come back to this place to get ourselves familiar with this particular interface, so you can also rename your file here. So once you can click this and go to rename, you can rename your file to like first script, and you should be good to go. Also, you can click download to download the file. You can also delete the file. You can duplicate it, and for here you are going to see your running script, which is this that we just opened, that is showing untitled. And basically you should be able to see all your files and folder that are in your system. So on this untitled folder, I just want you to type 1+1 and press shift enter. So as you can see, our Jupyter Notebook is working very fine. And if you've gotten to this part, congratulations, I want to wish you well. You've successfully installed Anaconda and you already know what it's used for now. And lastly, We've opened Jupyter Notebook, we've explored it, and our Jupyter Notebook is working perfectly fine now. So we're good to go. Alright guys, remember I told you I was going to explain what an online editor is. So we have different online editors. We have Google Colab, we have Programmings, we have W3 Schools, Online Python Compiler, and so on and so forth. I'm going to be teaching you how to use an online editor, which is Google Colab. So just search for Google Colab. So Google Colab is also similar to Jupyter Notebook. They almost have the same interface. So I want you to go ahead and click on Notebook, and after you click on Notebook, you can go ahead and sign up. What you want to do is come here and click on New Notebook, and when you click on New Notebook, it's going to bring up the interface for Google Colab Notebook. And what I want you to do here is just to type 1 + 1 and click Enter. So it's going to run. Don't forget that I said an online editor requires you to be connected to the internet. So for me, I'm connected to the internet, that's why this works fine, and I'm signed up already. You can also go ahead and sign up, and you can see we have our output. So congratulations, if you've gotten to this part of this video, you've successfully installed Anaconda. You know what it is, you also know about online editor. If you have any question concerning any part that is not clear to you, make sure you drop your question in the comment down below. I would make sure to reply all comments that I see. So see you in the next lecture.